Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's get this started. Alright, first question. Hey Jason, it's now common knowledge that there is no scientific data to prove that DOMS itself is a way to determine that muscular hypertrophy is taking place. However, ibuprofen and vitamin C are both known to help lessen DOMS after a workout, yet both have been shown in studies to blunt muscle growth. Could it be possible that muscle soreness could be a sign, not an end-all be-all, that you are growing/adapting even though the scientific evidence isn't there? Really curious to hear your thoughts. All right, brother. Good question, but this kind of goes back to the whole point that if you go take your first freshman science class when you get to university or college, hopefully you're going to get a lecture on how correlation does not equal causation. In this case, you're looking at correlation. This is called a correlation. Now, we know from the data, we know what causes DOMS. And the process that causes DOMS doesn't stimulate muscle growth. It's pretty straightforward. That's why there isn't really a correlation between DOMS and muscle growth outside of the fact that sometimes a novel stimulus or a new training stimulus might induce DOMS under the right conditions, particularly if it's infrequent enough, and we know that a new training stimulus will always stimulate growth. But we can easily create workouts that cause zero muscle growth that create large amounts of DOMS. We can do that. That's been done repeatedly. And we can create workouts that produce maximum muscle growth that produce zero DOMS the majority of the time. So therefore, because of that, because we know how to separate these factors, which is actually used by a lot of trainers to con people, right? They'll create workouts to get people sore because in a lot of people's minds who are uneducated on these topics, they think that if they get sore all the time, they're stimulating growth, right? That the workout kicked their butt. So a smart trainer can actually fool people and con them into buying more training packages if they make them really sore. If they get someone who wants to get sore, they can make them sore. It's just not going to help them. It can totally be done. So the point is it's not at all. So what you're looking at is another correlation. Because these things can reduce inflammation, which also blunts training response, right? They can reduce training stress. Well, if we're reducing different types of training stress, then obviously we can reduce DOMS in some cases also, can't we? So when you look at it from that perspective, it makes a lot more sense. This is just a correlation, not causation. All right, next question. Hey, Jason. Yourself and many other intelligent fitness YouTubers, well, I'm glad you consider to be an intelligent fitness YouTuber, are of the opinion that if one has to cheat, i.e. use straps or gloves, deviate from proper technique and compromise your safety, then they can't actually lift that weight. I don't know what you mean by the glove. Gloves aren't cheating. Gloves get you hurt. Gloves are stupid. That's not cheating. They won't let you lift more weight at all. But let me finish your question. If it doesn't count, why do so many people seem to contradict themselves when talking about the deadlift? People use chalk instead of gloves, which arguably can lead to drier, cracked skin, and a mixed grip instead of straps to prevent bar roll, which has inherent risk as opposed to a pronated grip. It seems like if you're going to go and use mixed grip and chalk, it's probably much better to cheat a bit safer by using pronated grip with gloves and straps, obviously still actually using your hands with the straps as a precaution. All right, brother, I kind of see what you're saying, but I think you're misunderstanding a lot of this. Bar roll doesn't go away with straps. If you saw the strap-on Destiny videos, remember, he had a bar roll out of his hands with straps on when he tried to hit a max deadlift. He wasn't strong enough to lift, right? You remember that? The bar rolled out of his hands. It didn't prevent bar roll. Mixed grip is the best way to prevent bar roll. Straps don't. Bar sometimes rolls. Even with straps, if you don't strap them up perfectly, it can still happen. Mixed grip is the best way to prevent bar roll. Now, as far as gloves go, gloves don't help you. Gloves can actually hurt you. You can get injured. You can hurt your hands training with gloves. Furthermore, people who say they train with gloves or they do big lifts with gloves, you know right off the bat that they are extremely weak people. That they are extremely weak and they have never even maxed out a linear progression basic noob training program. Do you know why? Their gloves wouldn't make it through a workout. They'd be buying 2 or 3 new sets of gloves every single week. When you're going through 100 to 150 pairs of gloves a year, you're going to have to be wealthy to train with gloves. Now, the thing with chalk, Chalk is an injury prevention tool. Chalk keeps your hands dry. It's easier to apply chalk to your hands than it is to scrub them completely dry between sets and before you grab the bar with a towel. It's sweat and moisture in your hands. That dryness that the chalk creates is what you want. That dryness helps you grip because the bar doesn't get slippery. And more importantly, taking that moisture out of your hands reduces the chances that you're going to tear the skin when you're doing rows and deadlifts and things like that. It actually helps keep you from getting injured. Chalk is an injury prevention tool. If you were to get your hands completely dry with a towel, you're going to find that dry hands with no chalk, you should be able to grip just as heavy of a weight as you can with chalk. It doesn't help make you stronger. It's just there to prevent the bar from slipping, and it's there to prevent injuries from hands. So I think you're really misunderstanding these terms. And as far as straps go, straps remove one of the most important things that you have, and that's the ability to judge if your grip strength is giving out. And I've done whole videos on that, why straps are detrimental to your training, because they do not allow you to properly assess certain things in your programming, because grip strength is one of the most important tools that we have to determine peripheral nervous system fatigue. Straps remove that. Therefore, that reason alone makes straps bad, in my opinion, and they shouldn't be used, if for no other reason that alone. All right, next question. Hi, Jason. You've mentioned before that creatine non-responders, such as yourself, are probably people who get enough dietary creatine through consumption of red meat. Since you don't consume as much red meat as you used to, do you think it's possible you might gain some benefits from creatine supplementation now? No. Why would I? I still eat red meat. I eat lean red meat because I'm on a very low-fat diet, but I have 1 to 2 servings of red meat every week. As a red meat eater, creatine's not going to work for me. And that's the point we need to make clear. It's not just the people who get enough creatine like what people claim you need to get for creatine. It's not just people who get enough creatine that don't seem to be the non-responders. It's people who eat red meat weekly at all. In other words, the creatine non-responders are people who eat red meat. I still eat probably 8 ounces or more of red meat every week. And I have been on lower red meat like that before when I tried creatine to see if it worked for me, and it did absolutely nothing. It didn't do anything. It's completely worthless for me. Now, because of that, as I've said before, that gives me a bias against creatine because I have been repeatedly a non-responder. So it's fair to say that even though the scientific literature suggests it works for 2/3 of the population, because I've never actually observed it work in another human being, and it could be because I live in Texas and everyone eats red meat. I observed all of that in Texas originally. So, maybe I'm very biased, and I'm willing to admit that. But since it has always been worthless for me, I'm not willing to waste $5 on a garbage product. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. I could spend that $5 on something else. I could spend that $5 on half of a steak. Or a whole steak at the store. I could spend that $5 on ammo. Why would I throw it away on a bunch of garbage that doesn't work? That's what you guys need to understand. When you're dealing with crap in the supplement industry, when something doesn't work, you don't keep throwing your money at it. Don't keep supporting these con men. It doesn't work. It's $5 I could save every month that I could spend on something else. It's that simple. And yeah, I know that's not very much money. But it's my money, and I'm not willing to give it to these con men for a worthless product that has never done anything for me. Why would I do that? And why should you? All right, next question. Jason, what is the minimum number of times a week one can train to maintain muscle strength? I aim for 4 times, but often only manage 2 times. I'm 37 and favor barbell work in my routines. Keep up the good work. You know what? I think you could maintain your strength off of 1 to 2 workouts a week. Why couldn't you? If you're using the same weight on the bar and you're using the same reps you've been using, why wouldn't you maintain your strength on 1 to 2 days a week? Of course you can. Progress comes from needing more volume, more frequency, all these things. That's when you're trying to make progress. Or you're trying to burn extra calories through training, or in a case of you're trying to maintain these things while you're losing body fat. You need more training stimulus in order to make sure that you hold on to certain things when you're trying to lose body fat. So it does make sense that you might need more sessions when you're cutting. You might need more sessions to make ideal growth, 3 to 4 sessions a week. But if you're just trying to hold on to what you have, you're not trying to lose body fat, you're not trying to gain muscle, and you just want to keep your strength, yeah, you could train 1 to 2 times a week. The downside to that is that you will get more sore. And that's what people need to realize. There's a convenience factor to going ahead and training 3 or 4 days a week, even if you're totally happy with where you are, and that's that you get reduced DOMs. So there's still benefits to you doing it, but you could do less and hold on to it just fine once you're happy with where you are. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 3.